My friends, it's time that we face the ugly truth about crypto bridges. With billions of dollars of crypto being siphoned away from unsuspecting cryptocurrency users over the last 12 to 24 months, it's critical that you understand the risks of using and trusting cross-chain crypto bridges with your hard-earned money. By the end of this video, you'll know why bridges are so risky and what you can do to protect yourself. So make sure you watch till the end of the video and that you're subscribed to the channel for tons more free crypto content just like this. Now, as I alluded to in the intro, the losses just keep racking up for crypto users who have trusted crypto bridges with their funds. Even the audited, trustless, big name bridges between major blockchains have suffered huge exploits at the hands of savvy hackers to the tune of over $2 billion in the last year. I mean, just off the top of my head, you've got 650 million, give or take, stolen from the Ronin Bridge exploit related to Axie Infinity, 325 million lost in the Wormhole Bridge, 100 million lost on the Horizon Bridge, 200 million just recently on the Nomad Bridge. Need I say more? It's out of control. And these are just some of the ones that got exploited. Others have been narrowly patched in time to avoid catastrophic hacks. For example, Polygon's Plasma Bridge was patched in late 2021 to avoid an exploit that could have put $800+ million worth of crypto at risk. And to be fair, some of these, like the recent Nomad hack, had funds returned by hackers, but still, the fact remains the same. Hackers are targeting bridges for good reason. They are a honeypot of all honeypots, a sitting duck with millions of dollars of user funds hanging in the rafters to be stolen. Due to the complexity of building a bridge and all the moving parts involved, they're very prone to exploitation because there's so many attack vectors. And when there's a security hole, you better hope a white hat hacker finds it before a malicious one does, or else you're in trouble. Now, we know this is an issue. Heck, you might have even been affected by one or multiple of these bridge hacks that I just mentioned. And if you were affected by a bridge hack, leave a comment below sharing your experience. I empathize with you. I have also been affected by bridge hacks in the past. That said, you may be wondering why this happens, and more importantly, how you can protect yourself from catastrophic losses when using various blockchains out there. Because let's face it, it's hard to avoid using bridges altogether, because if you want to get opportunities in crypto, you've got to move around cross-chain. So let's start with the why, and then stick around through the video because I'm going to give you my personal strategy for how to avoid getting burned by bridge hacks. So to understand why bridge hacks happen and what causes them, why it's so often and so catastrophic in nature that this happens, it all starts with understanding what a bridge really is in the context of crypto. And what a bridge truly is an application that facilitates the transfer of assets from one blockchain, the origin, to another blockchain, the destination. So a bridge is like an application or a network that lets a user move their USDC stablecoins from, say, Solana to another chain, say Ethereum. And there are a few common methodologies that bridges use and implementations follow to actually move assets from one chain to another, such as lock and mint, burn and mint, etc. They're different strategies. However, these bridges, for the most part, are classified into two overarching categories: trusted bridges and trustless bridges. For trustless bridges, you have smart contract logic on the origin and destination chain, and those manage the atomic transfer of assets from one chain to another. In this environment, security is derived from the blockchains themselves and from the smart contract logic, so the security of the code itself. For trusted bridges, on the other hand, you have a custodian who takes control of user assets to facilitate the movement of assets from one chain to another. And the security and trust is derived from the provider's reputation and technical approach to the security of assets in custody. By the way, just in case you don't know the term atomic or an atomic transaction, it's basically a term for where all necessary operations complete or transactions invalidated. In the context of a bridge, it means if I burn or lock an asset on the origin chain, the mint operation on the destination chain has to succeed or everything's invalidated. You don't want one or the other to succeed and everything gets out of whack between the ends. You have mismatched data, and that's the whole purpose. So if one thing fails, one operation fails, nothing happens, it gets unwound. A little sidebar lesson in databases, I guess, there for you. So if we go back to the methodologies for bridging assets for a moment, you can probably imagine that the smart contracts in a lock and mint trustless bridge are going to lock X amount of tokens on the origin chain, and then send a signed message to the contract on the destination chain to mint the same value worth of tokens on the destination to be used natively there. Then in reverse, the user can return the tokens once done on the destination chain to reclaim the locked tokens on the origin chain. It's pretty simple, right? At this level of detail, it's pretty easy to grasp. The problem is that there are some huge areas where exploits can happen, like the logic that determines whether a withdrawal of locked assets should be allowed, or the logic that determines when to mint assets, or the signed messages that trigger these actions. I mean, these are technical and smart contract risks that are derived from issues with code in both trustless and trusted bridges. Trusted bridges, however, are not susceptible only to these technical and smart contract risks associated with code, but also to other attacks, such as censorship attacks and risks inherent in storing one's funds in custody. As they say, not your keys, not your crypto. The fact is, between crypto custody, oracles, smart contracts, and other code, bridges have many attack vectors that can be exploited. Now, a great example of, say, a trusted bridge's inherent risks is due to the centralized control in a trusted entity. And this is evident in the hack of the Ronin Bridge that serves the Axie Infinity ecosystem. The Ronin network's custodial funds were controlled by a 5 of 9 multi-signature wallet, or multi-sig wallet. It required 5 signatures from any 5 of 9 total authorized spending keys to withdraw and spend funds. The hacker was able to gain access to 5 keys from both the team behind Ronin Bridge and the Axie DAO, a third party. So they got 5 keys and then had carte blanche with the withdrawal function for that custody wallet. In this example, you can see clearly that users of this system had their funds in custody secured only by a multi-sig wallet that everyone just trusted the team to keep safe. The trust dynamic is oriented towards a centralized, trusted entity. If they make a mistake, your funds are at risk. And you can juxtapose that against a trustless bridge, like the Poly network bridge that was hacked for hundreds of millions across multiple chains in 2021. You'll see clear differences in how the trust dynamics play out. The Poly network bridge was exploited by a hacker who found a way to take control of a keeper node, which relayed messages between the different blockchains in this particular environment. And it used that keeper to spoof messages and trick the smart contracts to allow the hacker to withdraw the assets locked in the bridge. Here, you can clearly see that the network security derived from keepers along with the code itself is where users place their trust. Therefore, the risks implicit in trustless bridges are different from trusted bridges, but still very relevant for users to bear in mind. Trustless bridges are not inherently more secure than trusted bridges in every scenario. So if you've heard that, that is not to be believed. There's a really great article from the renowned security auditor Certik, and it's on their website, and it goes into detail on some of the biggest bridge hacks of 2022, explains how it worked and what happened, and I highly recommend you read that. So when you reach the end of the video, check out the link in the description to go check out that article. Really, really worth the read. So there are lots of ways that things can go wrong. I mean, that much is clear at this point in the video, but you're probably wondering what you can do to protect yourself and de-risk yourself from bridge hacks without completely avoiding them altogether, because it's just not realistic to avoid using bridges completely, because moving funds to layer 2s or moving funds to trade on another blockchain, it's just a very common pattern that users like yourself probably have to do. So let's first talk about best practices for all types of bridges, and then I'll talk specifics for both trusted and trustless bridges. So for all bridges, both types, you should be doing your due diligence about that bridge before you put even 1 penny worth of crypto through it. Learn how the bridge works. What type of bridge is it? Crowdsource opinions on it from people who've already used it before. Look for quality security audit reports about that bridge. Look for bug bounty programs, etc. Certik's website is fantastic for this. From there, you should use each bridge with a clear purpose and keep track of which bridges you're using and trusting your funds with. Don't forget about it. Don't park large amounts of crypto on bridges and then move on. You should be reclaiming crypto to your native chain and securing them with cold storage whenever possible. For trusted bridges in particular, where custody of your crypto is relinquished to a third party, you should not treat that bridge as a long-term storage location for your assets. Once the purpose of the bridged asset is fulfilled, take back control of that, of course in cold storage for safekeeping. Before using a trusted bridge, make sure you get a clear picture of how funds and custody are going to be controlled. Is it a multi-sig? If so, how many signatures are needed? Who holds those keys? You want to see an adequate number of validators or signatories required to authorize a withdrawal, and you want to know how those keys are secured and distributed amongst these signatories. It makes sense. For trustless bridges, on the other hand, extra due diligence is required to protect yourself because both smart contract risk and economic risks apply. For example, you can get into a scenario where the bridge does not have enough of a given asset pair to facilitate a cross-chain transfer, stranding your funds on one blockchain or another. That's an economic risk. You can also get caught in an exploit like the ones I mentioned earlier today, losing funds that are locked in smart contracts because of a code issue. Focus extra carefully on code audits, bug bounties, and other security collateral when deciding to use a trustless bridge, as the security is derived from the code and the underlying networks that you're using. Identifying single points of failure, such as keepers in the Poly network bridge, and using that to determine how much, if any, crypto you're willing to risk on that bridge is a great exercise to go through. You might want to risk less on a network or bridge that's untested or that doesn't have adequate security guarantees. Again, only using the bridge for the task at hand and exiting when no longer needed still applies. The final thing I will say is that all bridges have risk, so tread carefully and never treat them as custody or long-term storage. Over time, this tech will mature along with major cross-chain protocols that are rising in popularity, but in the meantime, extra care is required to ensure that you're not a victim of the next great bridge hack. There will be more, so you need to be careful. If you want to be as secure as possible with your cryptocurrency and you use any Ethereum-compatible blockchain like Ethereum, BNB chain, etc., you should also check out this video about one of the most prevalent risks to your crypto in these ecosystems. I'll teach you what it is and how to protect yourself. Video is here, linked up on the screen and in the description. I really appreciate you watching the show, and until next time, cheers.